He has no time to be anything but a machine. The mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation. What is called resignation is confirmed desperation. From the desperate city, you go into the desperate country, and you have to console yourself with the bravery of minks and muskrats. A stereotyped but unconscious despair is concealed even under what are called the games and amusements of mankind. There's no play in them, for this comes after work, but a characteristic of wisdom not to do desperate things. As I look across the pristine pond, I wonder what was it like to live there, like Thoreau. I also wonder how cold the water is, as I am faced with the decision to go swimming in October. It is a tough decision, keep myself dry or gain a life experience that I will never forget. After 5 hesitant minutes, I dove in. As it seemed, I jumped in and that was it, but I jumped into Walden Pond, just as I jumped into the chapter of Walden, Economy. Maybe I should climb it. My grade went on a field trip to Walden Pond to learn more about Thoreau. We yearned to experience more of what Thoreau experienced during his time at Walden Pond. We started the day visiting a replica of his cabin. It was very interesting to see how simply he lived. The whole chapter of Economy is about living off only the necessities of life. Thoreau's house was not where it originally was, but we saw what it was like. He had a bed, desk, and a wood stove, the very basic needs. He would only need the wood stove in the winter because of the strategic placement of his house. We did not see the original site, but it was not something eye-catching. Thoreau showed many people across the world with his experiment that you could live happily off the basic necessities of life. After visiting the house, we had time to sit around the pond and write for 10 minutes. I got into the zone and wrote 3 haikus about the beauty of the pond. I was amazed by the reflection on the pond. It resembled a painting on a canvas, with all the colors of fall. I sat and thought for a while, watching people skip stones, and realized the reflection was shattered, but then restored. I thought this would be good to write about. Haiku number 1. Like another world, only broken by a ripple, it stays calm. Haiku number 2. Nature's beauty is halted by machines, but never defeated. Haiku number 3. Like a painting, from Picasso, nature's canvas. My favorite part of the Walden trip came soon after. We had time to walk around and then meet halfway around the pond. I decided to take a route through the woods and see where it would take me. I luckily managed to find our spot and we had a chance to swim. I was very hesitant at first, as I did not have clothes to change into but my sweatpants. Originally, I was going to stay out, but I had a sudden change of mind and jumped in. A chill went down my spine, and I hoped to get numb. I quickly got out after some pictures and did not have a towel. I relied on my jacket to dry me off and keep me warm. I was super cold, but it was an experience I will never forget. After some walking around the pond, I spotted a tree and decided I would climb it and get some pictures. A few more kids tried until Mr. Trotsky told us to get down, until immediately Fitz told us to climb higher. Jack Eames took that as a challenge and hung upside down on a branch. I decided to climb higher and had a great time and a struggle getting down. Overall, this was one of my favorite trips at Fenn. I learned much about Thoreau and how he lived. I also had a fun time swimming, climbing, and reflecting. I hope to revisit Walden one day to experience it again. This trip let us experience Walden Pond and how Thoreau lived. It helped me understand more of Walden, and I began to not only understand Walden, but experience the book. It allowed me to understand economy. Life is much simpler than one may think. Many material things that you have, you do not actually need, and Thoreau describes this in economy. Things such as a fancy vase or a new pair of clothes is not something you need. These things often bring more stress than pleasure. Thoreau talks about this very much in his chapter Economy in Walden. He says people think they need a house like their neighbors, when we really don't. Like a shipwrecked sailor, they put on what they can find on the beach, and at a little distance, whether of space or time, they laugh at each other's masquerade. Every generation laughs at old-fashioned, but follows religiously the new. What Thoreau is saying is that people laugh at others' clothing, but follow what will soon be laughed at. In reality, clothes are clothes. Even the simplest clothes do just as much as the more quote-unquote fashionable clothes. Many people could save money by living simpler and not buying expensive clothes that won't do anything more than the simplest article of clothing. This applies to other things as well. You do not need a fancy vase or a signed baseball. They may be important, it's something you cherish, but if they bring you more stress, if stolen or broken, why have it? In a world of overly expensive things, one needs to realize that most of the things you spend money on are useless. Thoreau tries to send this message in Economy. Simplicity was probably the biggest theme in Economy, and another theme is Thoreau's views on philanthropy. Oftentimes, philanthropy is overpraised. In Economy, Thoreau describes how people should learn to help themselves. Many people who need immediate help should get help. People nowadays want to do good for them, but not for others. They don't necessarily help those who need help, but help those who want help. In the subchapter, Fallacy of Philanthropy, Thoreau talks about the flaws in good doing. He says people need to help themselves rather than get unneeded help. As Thoreau said, as for doing good, that is one of the professions which are full. Moreover, I have tried it fairly, and strange as it may seem, am satisfied that it does not agree with my constitution. What Thoreau is trying to say here is helping people and philanthropy is a job that many people already do. He says he has tried it, but it's something he does not agree with. He believed that people should help themselves. Most people are poor because of how they spend the wrong things, like alcohol and drugs. He didn't believe in not helping those in desperate need, however. If someone needs help for, say, drowning, then they shall get help. But those who can help themselves should. Thoreau's view on philanthropy were very radical, and some may not agree, but this is only one view he had. There are many things to take away from Economy, because so many points Thoreau had are still valid today. One of my favorite ideas Thoreau had was that people should help themselves if they can help themselves. The main thing to take away from Economy, however, is simplicity. Because in a world of electronics and expensive objects, we need to realize that living simply will change the world for the better. In conclusion, reading Economy has made me think deeper and realize many things. As Thoreau said, I say, beware of all enterprises that require new clothes, and not rather a new wearer of clothes. Excerpt from Thoreau, Economy.